Hi, my name is Melissa Deagle, and I'm representing America for Two Sisters, and I'm also a journalist for the Liberty Beacon Project. And thank you so much for this meeting. It was very informative. I also agree with the fact that we need to have more preventative services, and I really appreciate the fact that the legislators approved a $5 million budget this year for that. As mentioned in this meeting, that they said that they need to roll up the sleeves and really help the case managers and caseworkers. And I really hope that they're going to appoint people that are actually going to do that. That it's not just words, because if you're not in there helping the people, then nothing is going to get done. And as we know from the audit, that people were going in there with preconceived notions, removing children. And that puts more children into the system. And with over 20,000 children in the system, we know that there were children in the system that shouldn't have been put in there. And then my other concern was there's time and care. If the caseworkers are not turning in their reports to the courts, as we just was being discussed in this meeting today, you know, and then 6 months later a court report is being turned in, these children, some of these children had a chance to be returned back home to their families, and that's not okay, because some of these families are sitting in this room today that should have had their children returned. So if truly it's in the best interest of the children, we should be considering that. Let's make sure that it's not just talk today, that we actually get this done, because these children's lives really truly do matter. And the other thing I would really like the legislators and everybody in this room to consider is that there is a federal law for warrants, and that a child should only be removed if there's imminent danger, because it's life or limb. You know, if you're going in and children are being removed sometimes because there's ants in the home, or there's dishes in the sink, or there's a kitten, and these are legitimate reasons. I get hundreds of families that contact me personally, and we need to make sure that we are truly only removing the child if there is imminent danger of life or limb, and that the case managers and caseworkers and their supervisors are being trained on this specifically. So, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is McArdle. I was really hoping to have the opportunity to meet Director McKay today. I was hoping that he'd show up for this meeting. I think he's aware of the warrant issue. I think he's aware that DCS is wreaking harm on children, seizing safe kids without a warrant. DCS would say right now, today, that is their policy. They seize safe children without a warrant, and sometimes without a reason. Not even a given reason at all. So DCS needs warrants, and they need to stop wreaking harm on children. Warrantless removal epidemic against kids needs to be stopped today. I'm very thankful to everybody who came to this room, but we can't let the movement die here because there are kids being seized today, 35 of them without a warrant. So this was a great meeting. I feel like there's a lot of people coming from a very honest place wanting to really have an impact on the system. But these numbers, these graphs, it's hoopla. There's a front door, and we're ripping kids out of that front door, and we're seizing them into a very broken system without any sort of justification. And we need everybody in this room to be a champion for children and ending that today. So thank you all for coming. I really hope we carry this momentum. And I hope McKay hears that warrants are required to seize children. I hope that everybody in this room can help to be a messenger and inspiration to McKay to start getting warrants, because he's putting caseworkers on the hook for a lot of bad removals. It's not fair to the kids, it's not fair to the families, and it's not fair to the community. So thank you all for being champions for change.
My name is Cynthia Elliott. I'm a foster adopted mom. I also am disappointed that Director McKay is not here today. I wanted to talk a minute and ask a question about House Bill 2242. I have been involved in that. I feel okay talking a little bit about my daughter because she's been on TV. She was the little deaf girl that was featured on 12 News because of the situation that she was found in while she was in DCS custody. One of the questions that I have that, or issues that I wondered if there's been any discussion between DCS and the Attorney General's office about considering those cases like ours that fall under Jacob's Law or House Bill 2242, that kids were removed because of lack of treatment, not because of abuse or neglect or anything else. And now with the passage of that law, it's illegal to do that. It would certainly reduce the caseload. And I don't know if there are any numbers of how many of those cases would fall under Jacob's Law that could be taken care of and just dismissed from the system, because right now it couldn't happen. Thank you.
My name is Laurie Patterson, and I've been through the system. And I think it's very discriminatory that we do not have a parent, like other parents here that have been through the system, that can give you direct feedback of what it is like. We've already talked about children being removed when there's absolutely no reason to be removed. And I also work with a lot of homeless women, and I know many, many other parents that will tell you the same thing. But part of the problems are the judges. They are trained to remove kids at the first hearing. Like, I don't want to tell you about my own case, but I have to because I'm sure it's common that there's no reasonable efforts made to keep the child in the home, and that is against federal law, because before you can remove the child, you're supposed to have reasonable efforts. You don't get your charges before you go to court. You're given an attorney, and they either don't show up, they're stamped on the front of the court paper, but they're not there, they know nothing about the case. This is right. And I'm a teacher. I've had my teaching licenses threatened, and other parents too, the same thing. I never had CPS would not meet with me. They wouldn't talk to you. I've never had a case plan made with a parent. Well, they finally made one up. Oh, I was teaching in Gold Canyon, and they have me listed at a meeting. That's the foster care review board. I'm telling you, it's a mess. What I wanted to have, and I've talked to every authority, including Maria Hoffman, the whole crew, Greg McKay, all of them. Well, he had all the evidence and never investigated because they don't investigate. But the parents don't have any information. You literally need a checklist of what is to occur. I had no idea. I'm going to court and I don't even know why I'm there. I go to the courthouse and all I get is a sticky note with a court time. I mean, I've had teachers go with me and they've watched me be yelled at in the courthouse halls by my daughter's guardian ad litem. It's like insane. And I'm obviously still traumatized. My daughter's now has chronic illness. They wouldn't take her learning needs, her physical needs. There's nothing. And the home she was detained in was involved in prostitution.
I'm sorry, but you're at 3 minutes.
Yes, I just want to say, you need people, you need parents that have been through this and can tell you what exactly goes on. And the state, the judges are trained to take the kids at the first hearing. Oh, you're not allowed to present any evidence. The other thing is the unsubstantiated charges, which mine were, are repeated until the end as true. Keeping kids detained, all to fit federal funding requirements. If the kids are not seized at the first hearing, they cannot get funds. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a mess, and we've stood outside the courthouse. No parents leave that courthouse with their kids. And
Thank you.
I can't tell you how upset I am over the whole thing, and had my kid recklessly endangered, as judge after judge trying to blind eye the police records and you know, involving her in a prostitution ring. And I'm telling you, it's all true. Greg McKay had that information, and I'm sorry, you know, I have reason to be upset.
Thank you,
need
but we have to
parents
move
on
on.
that board that know what has gone on and how you lied about in every report in order to detain the child. Well, Michelle, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm still traumatized,
Is there anyone else? Yes, you do it.
but
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Linda Dobbs, and I would like to say I would want DCS to be made accountable for destroying families and taking children whom they terrorize and neglect. They have lost their safe home in order to be thrown away like a piece of garbage. This is what happened to my granddaughter who has autism. They took her out of my home on the 22nd of May. They forced me to sign off on paperwork. They told me that if I didn't sign the paperwork, they was going to adopt both my grandchildren out. I'm a grandparent raising two autistic children, 11, they were 11, 10 and 12 at that time. They returned the high-functioning autistic child back to me. They kept the lower-functioning child. They put her in a DDD group home, and then she was transitioned over to a foster home. I took pictures of the abuse and neglect of what my granddaughters went through, and I have pictures of how I've taken care of my grandchildren. I've had guardianship of them since 2012. And I think DCS, I think that, well, first off, they're not their children. She referred to them as our children. They don't belong to them. They belong to us. And the phone call issue, where you make that phone call, they have a 3-day limit before they can return your phone call. And if you call before that 3-day limit is up, it starts over. I've been told that. I've sat at CFTs where DCS caseworkers were supposed to come to a CFT. We had the whole team there. And they never showed up. We waited for hours. We called our supervisor. We tried to get a hold of her. And they feel that they don't have to tell us that they're not going to show up for a meeting. They can leave us sitting. My autistic granddaughter was taken away from a loving, clean home where she was never neglected. She was never beaten. The only place that she ever knew, this child couldn't even wash her own hair. When they took her on the 22nd of May, I received an unsubstantiated findings report, and 4 days later, I received my first court date, even though it was found unsubstantiated. They took away all her therapies, her speech, OT, she had providers for HAB, respite and attendant care. They took all that away from her. This child couldn't even take care of herself. And they put her in this DDD transition place until they could find a foster home. They took her away from me. Even after it was found unsubstantiated, they did not return this child to me. They took me to court. They accused my ex-husband of raping my daughter and being
Sorry,
a
ma'am,
father.
it's 3 minutes.
yeah.
Thank you.
And it shouldn't be confidential. Reporting should not be confidential. Every people that make false allegations, they should have charges brought up against them, which they say that they will do, but they never do.
They remove kids from good homes like my daughter, and they lie in every report. My reports weren't even signed. They fabricated a case plan, forced to carry
Do you have
newborn.
another comment?
I have belt marks
You
on
need
my
to hear
granddaughter.
what's going on, and you need to have us parents on board with you to start telling you what is really happening and destroying our lives.
I'm
And
sorry,
our
ma'am, we have to
children's
let the
lives.
next person speak. Thank you.
Hello, I appreciate everybody today. My name is McArdle. I just have 2 quick comments. I think that having somebody that's willing to speak to parents and relatives that just can kind of take a common sense approach, you know, it's tough when you hear a caseworker say, this doesn't make sense, but nobody's willing to actually act on a situation when it's pretty cut and dry, it's pretty black and white, and you hear people on both sides saying the same thing. and I met with a lot of families that I've heard, there's just nobody who will actually take a step and move forward. And the other thing I want to say is that I do think that a warrant to remove a child is important because it gives the chance for a caseworker who's sometimes not trained to have their findings and their report reviewed by a judge, and for the judge to say, yes, that child's in danger. And I think it's important for them to be able to have that reviewed. And I think that's why it's legally required to take a child or to take a person into custody unless there's an emergency situation, to have a judge get a warrant. So I think that's important, and I'd like to make that known today. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So if you want to form the committee, you guys can have that discussion.
About the subcommittee?
Yeah, if you want to share.
Because we need to form it today, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to reopen that in a minute.
Hi, my name is Maggie Baylor, and I'm here on behalf of myself and just to give a voice to a group of people that I've come to know that really have passion about this subject and making things better at DCS. I know the department is clearly trying to make changes, and I think that you guys touched on some really good points about the disconnect between what the department's trying to do and the parents, and especially the child. That's a great point, that the child needs a voice. I know in my experience that it is difficult to explain to a child exactly what's going on from an adult perspective, when as an adult we don't even really know what's going on. And I think that starts at the very beginning of the process. As an adult, what I'm hearing is confusion. Not knowing about what the removal is, not knowing what to expect from court, not knowing what's going on. And I think that having clear procedures to that, like they're talking about, having a warrant to remove a child. And I don't think that if a child is in imminent danger, I don't understand how an untrained or not efficiently trained social worker, not a social worker, a caseworker, how they're safe going into that environment. Why a police officer or somebody with authority shouldn't be there with them. How are they safe? If the child's unsafe, how is the caseworker safe? I don't know, the more that I'm involved or discovering about the system, the more I seek change, the more I'd like to see something happen